Welcome back to Allison Customs Project Car TV. I'm Jeff Allison, and thank you for watching.
Welcome back to Allison Customs. So I've been working on this quarter panel for a couple days now, and basically I cut the old quarter panel off, got my inner fender in, and mounted up to the widened fender on the that we built earlier, other episodes. And one of the problems I'm running into is when the quarter panel fits nice here at the tail panel, and when it's close at the door, you can see there's a pretty good gap there. It's because the quarter panel is actually rotated out right now at the top, and it needs to go in. The sail panel doesn't line up at all. It's too far forward, it's too low. Obviously I could get inside and pick it up a little bit. That would help that corner, but that doesn't fix the fact that it's way too far forward by maybe 3/8 of an inch. Anyway, so one of the things I'm trying to figure out is, and we bought quality metal here. This is AMD. It's a GM restoration replacement panel. It's not something cheap and stamped overseas and old dies. This is about as good a metal as you can get. But a lot of us will run into the same problem when you're working with sheet metal. Like for example, on the door, I had the door lined up as close to perfect as you could get with the old quarter panel, and then opened the door, locked it out of the plate, got it out of the way, and then hung the new quarter panel. And I've played with it. It's probably been on and off 6 or 8 times already. I've trimmed it in every place possible, trying to make it, shift and rotate and get into place. And basically, when I get the quarter panel where it ought to be lined up with the wheel well and the taillight panel, and like I said, close with the door, the sail panel is just completely wrong. And the biggest problem with keeping it from rotating is it's hitting right here hard up against the inside sheet metal. And whereas up here I've got a pretty good gap, and here it's not even touching what it should. So I think the process is going to be that I need to cut the sail panel off, get the quarter panel in place, and then reattach, re-weld the sail panel in place. So I went and cut the old sail panel off, and part of the reasons it needed to come off anyway is there's quite a bit of rust down in this corner. There was a big dent right here, and just for test fitting I had to get inside and kind of knock it out. So there's actually some decent sheet metal here, but quite a bit of rust pitting and stuff in it. But when I lay that on top, it actually lines up almost perfectly with some of the other parts, and shows you that there's a massive gap back here. See, it actually lines up about where it should, and leaves, I was probably right, maybe 3/8 of an inch at the top and a 1/2 inch at the bottom where the drip rail should be, that's sticking out too far. And with this sitting on top of it, it just then lines up. So like I said, what I think I'm going to do is cut the sail panel off. I've just got to figure out where's going to be the best place to cut it so that I can move it around, get the quarter panel itself in place, and then come back and put the sail panel back on. So what I'm going to be doing is trying to figure out a good place to cut it where it'll be easy to weld back and get everything straight, and then get the quarter panel placed right, get it rolled in where it's supposed to be, and then put the sail panel in and re-weld the seam and grind that down. I hate to cut up what looks like a perfectly good panel, but the fact is it just doesn't fit right. So I can fight it for a few more days and then decide to cut it, or try and modify something up in here. And really I don't want to do that. I just want to get the quarter panel in place and then line this back up, and then I can make whatever transition right here that will fit and look factory. So that's going to be the plan. Let me go ahead and back the camera out of the way, pull the quarter panel off, get it on a stand, and then I'll cut it. I'll have to examine it a couple places here, but basically I just need to cut it from over here, because even this arch here where it goes into the window is forward almost an inch. There's just too much metal in there as well. So we'll get this whole thing slid back and get it looking right. So and back the camera off and get started on that. I've also got a few little dents here that I need to go ahead and knock out while I've got the panel off again. the sail panel cut off, had some work on the inside that I needed to finish up before I get this quarter panel in place. And now everything fits almost exactly like a factory panel does. I close the door, I have a nice gap here, and I have a little bit of cleanup to do down here on the end. And up in the jam area, got to put a few more weld holes where it's going to weld into the jam, so the plug weld holes. And I need to put some holes in here for the plug welds around the lip. But everything came up to the right place. It honestly fits beautifully. So one of the next things is that my customer wants a brake vent here. It's going to bring in air, fresh air. We're going to duct it out to the back side of the axle, bring in air. So before I can actually put the panel, weld the panel in place, I'll get it back over on the rack there, so I can punch all these holes and drill the holes in the front and along this side. But while it's up here, I'm going to go ahead and get the rendering and lay out my duct and kind of get it where I think it needs to be, so that then when I put this over there, I can build all my box and everything to capture the air and get it inside it's going to have to go right under the back seat. So get it inside there and get it ready to duct out. But getting that cell panel out of the way with it binding up against everything made the quarter panel fit very well. So then the next thing will be to get that vent and everything figured out and the air capture box inside there figured out. Then I can come back and put the cell panel in. And I'll line the cell panel up to the roof and the Dutchman panel here, and then bring the quarter panel and all that together and weld this seam up. Worked beautifully. And when I do the other side, I'm either going to do some patch panels or I'm going to do the sail panel on that side is in pretty good shape. So that side I would just cut it off like I've done here and put a new quarter panel on rather than a whole full panel. Alright, so one of the projects I'm working on is putting this scoop, brake duct scoop, into the side of the quarter panel. And this one's a little bit large yet, but just trying to get the right shape and idea for what I want to do. Pulled some engineering data off the internet for NACA scoops, NACA scoops or ducts. And I think I'm going to narrow this down about a ½ inch to maybe a full inch, which will shorten it up just a little bit as well. But pretty much got a plan for what I'm going to do. I've already started shaping some of the metal for the curves, and basically what I'll end up doing is cutting out the long sides and the back side, and then creasing that metal there, folding that piece down, and I want it 1.5 inches deep at this point here. And that may change. It may come up to only 1 inch deep, but for right now I'm planning 1.5 inches deep. And so, see, I've already put the curves in here, and I've got a straight line. When I do the next one, I'll go ahead and cut the straight line first, and then put the curves in it. But I was just trying to figure out shapes and all that. And then the scoop actually will continue back into here just a little ways, so that I can have the duct that will carry the air go through into the car and back around behind the other side of the tire, so we can actually get it to the brake. So, but it'll be under this panel, so that part will have to be done with the quarter panel off and sitting on the stand. Did some measurements, and these are all just numbers that I took off of some drawings, just trying to scale out the drawing to real life here. And this is the way it's scaled. I think it's a little large. I think coming in maybe a total of 1 inch, and then shortening it by about as much, about 1 inch shorter. I'll have to look at the data because there is a specific length here or a height to length ratio that you're trying to hit so that you get the most air in. And it's basically, this is essentially double, real quick generic terms, whatever width this is, you want to double. So if I did that, it's going to shorten it up to about 10 inches, somewhere right in here. Hey guys, well, I'm back. So I showed you how I made that top piece and just made another one the same way. And it's just tack welded in there. I've got to grind a couple of these loose and flush that out just a hair more, and then that'll be in good shape. And then as far as this inside, I'll weld it from the other side. Just get a few more tack welds in here, but I'll weld it solid from the other side to protect it from moisture or anything. But that'll give it a nice crisp line in there. And then here I'm going to need to put my receiver, my air vent or air port. It's going to go straight through, and I think I'm going to bring this back out about 1/2 inch or so and roll this over, and then have the lip behind it. And I'm going to kind of curve that lip so it kind of forces the air into my air duct. So that the front will be straight and just come back out about 1/2 inch and have a bullnose kind of shape to it. Other than that, so it's just a process of once you get the angle made, then just shrinking it and stretching it until you get the curve. So save that to do the other side where they'll match. And basically I ended up cutting it right on the line that this shape was, and then with my side face here, by the time I put a bullnose or a bend in it, which kind of gave it that bullnose shape, I'm basically a 1/2 inch narrower than I was with this. So it's kind of a slow process, but you kind of see how it fits right up in there. And a little bit of a slow process, but I think that took about a little over an hour and a half to do. With it tack welded in now, like I said, I'm going to do a little more dressing work on there. It's about right there. Kind of cut those loose, push that back in just a little bit, and then the shape will be right. And with that, I can take the quarter panel back off. I got most of these dents out. There's one left up here. I need to trim this off just a little more, and then punch some holes in it for rosette welds. I need to punch a couple holes up here next to the striker stud, and then same thing here. I need to punch some holes for rosettes in there. And this will be almost ready to go on. I got to get that air vent or air duct plumbed through there. So I guess the last thing I do before welding the quarter panel on. But overall, good day of work.
Thanks for watching Allison Customs Project Car TV. Like us on Facebook and check us out at AllisonCustomsOnline.com.